Imagine a world populated by titans, individuals possessing immense strength, boundless ambition, and unwavering resolve, yet plagued by inner turmoil, broken relationships, and a gnawing sense of emptiness. What if the very qualities we celebrate as strengths are in reality a cleverly disguised curse? We often equate strength with success, achievement, and invulnerability, yet this narrow definition blinds us to the insidious ways that unbalanced power can corrupt and destroy, not just the individual, but the world around them. This video will explore the hidden dangers lurking beneath the surface of strength, revealing how willpower, control, and a relentless pursuit of dominance can ultimately lead to profound suffering. We will venture into the shadowed territories of the human psyche, drawing upon the insights of Carl Jung and Friedrich Nietzsche to illuminate the dark side of strength. Consider the archetype of the modern CEO, outwardly successful, commanding respect and wielding considerable influence, yet inwardly battling anxiety, isolation, and a profound lack of purpose. This individual may have amassed a fortune and climbed the corporate ladder with ruthless efficiency, but at what cost? The pattern is consistent. Unchecked strength fuels arrogance and breeds isolation, ultimately paving the road to downfall and suffering. Think of Napoleon Bonaparte, a military genius whose ambition knew no bounds. His strategic brilliance allowed him to conquer vast territories, but his insatiable thirst for power led him to overreach, resulting in his ultimate defeat and exile. Strength, divorced from wisdom and tempered by humility, becomes a dangerous weapon, capable of inflicting immense damage. Strength is not a fixed entity. Its meaning shifts depending on the context. What appears to be strength in one situation can easily morph into a debilitating weakness in another. Overly cautious behavior in an emergency can be just as detrimental as reckless impulsivity, and a ruthless dedication to one's craft can neglect family, robbing the individual of meaningful emotional experience and support. The glorification of strength pervades modern society. From superhero movies to self-help gurus, we are constantly bombarded with messages that equate strength with success and happiness. This relentless emphasis on willpower and achievement often overshadows the importance of vulnerability, empathy, and inner balance. But the consequences of this unbalanced ideal are far-reaching, impacting everything from personal relationships to global politics. Workaholism, driven by an insatiable need to achieve, can lead to estranged families and broken marriages. Corrupt leaders, intoxicated by power, can exploit and oppress entire populations. This is why understanding the problem of unbalanced strength is crucial for everyone, regardless of their perceived level of power. We will delve into Nietzsche's concept of the will to power, Jung's theory of the shadow, historical examples of tyrannical leaders, and the struggles of high achievers battling burnout and a sense of meaninglessness. Integrating these insights will provide you with practical tools for self-improvement and a more balanced approach to life. The core themes we will explore are balance, self-awareness, integration, and contextualization. Balance emphasizes the need to temper strength with humility and compassion. Self-awareness encourages us to examine our own motivations and tendencies related to power. Integration promotes the acceptance of both strong and weak aspects of the self, and contextualization dictates that strength is always best viewed through a relativistic lens. To truly understand the problem with strong people, we must first delve into the philosophical foundations that underpin our understanding of strength itself. Nietzsche's concept of the will to power suggests that all living beings are driven by a fundamental desire to expand their influence and assert their dominance. Jung's concept of the shadow refers to the unconscious aspects of our personality, including the repressed or denied qualities that we often disown. These powerful ideas will be used to dissect the complexities of strength, revealing its hidden potential for both good and evil. In this video, strength is defined not just as physical or mental toughness, but as any form of personal power, influence, intelligence, charisma, wealth, or even social status. It's vital to recognize that even seemingly positive traits can possess a shadow side. Consider, for example, a person who dedicates their life to charitable work. While their actions may appear altruistic, they might also be unconsciously compensating for deep-seated feelings of inadequacy stemming from childhood, or using their charity as a means of self-aggrandizement. Our primary focus will be on three interconnected knowledge threads: the dangers of repressing vulnerability, the crucial role of empathy, and the indispensable need for self-awareness. These threads will be woven together, forming a comprehensive framework for understanding the nuances of strength and its potential pitfalls. We will explore practical inner work exercises that can help you integrate your shadow and cultivate a more balanced approach to power. To further illustrate the dangers of unchecked strength, let us turn to literature. Consider Captain Ahab in Herman Melville's Moby Dick. Ahab's relentless pursuit of the white whale, driven by an unyielding will and a thirst for revenge, ultimately leads to his own destruction and the demise of his crew. This serves as a potent reminder that strength, when divorced from reason and compassion, can become a self-destructive force. Is true strength about dominating others or mastering oneself? If strength can be a curse, how do we cultivate a healthy relationship with our own power? Can vulnerability actually be a source of strength rather than a sign of weakness? What happens when we ignore the shadow side of our strength, allowing it to fester and corrupt our actions? These are the questions we must confront if we are to unlock the secrets of balanced power. The answer lies in embracing the nuances of balance, self-awareness, and integration. Neglecting the shadow self is akin to ignoring a festering wound. It will only grow more painful and debilitating over time. Be aware of the arrogance cycle, where unchecked strength breeds pride and hubris, leading to isolation and eventual collapse. And consider the vulnerability paradox. The idea that suppressing vulnerability actually weakens us in the long run, hindering our ability to connect with others and build meaningful relationships. We will explore these patterns in depth, drawing upon historical examples, from Julius Caesar's ambition to the self-imposed exile of so many modern leaders. The video will culminate in practical strategies for integrating your shadow, cultivating empathy, and building more meaningful relationships, transforming your understanding of strength and empowering you to wield your own power with wisdom and compassion. But what specific historical examples highlight these themes? What specific historical examples highlight the themes of unchecked strength and its consequences? To truly grasp the insidious nature of this dynamic, we must turn to Friedrich Nietzsche and his profound insights into the human will. Nietzsche, a philosopher known for his provocative and often misunderstood ideas, offers a compelling framework for understanding the dangers of strength when it is divorced from higher values. Central to his philosophy is the concept of the will to power, often misinterpreted as a simple desire for domination. In reality, Nietzsche envisioned it as a fundamental drive inherent in all living beings, a striving for self-assertion, growth, and the expansion of one's influence on the world. Think of it as the force that compels a seed to sprout, a plant to reach for sunlight, or an artist to create a masterpiece. It is the engine of creativity, innovation, and progress. However, Nietzsche cautioned against a will to power that runs rampant, untempered by self-awareness and a commitment to self-overcoming. When this striving for power becomes an end in itself, detached from any ethical or moral considerations, it can lead to ruthless behavior and the exploitation of others. Consider the example of a business leader who fixates solely on maximizing profit, disregarding the well-being of their employees, engaging in unethical practices, and externalizing environmental costs. Such an individual, driven by an insatiable will to power, may achieve short-term success, but ultimately sows the seeds of their own destruction through damaged relationships, public backlash, and legal repercussions. Nietzsche further distinguished between master morality and slave morality. Master morality celebrates self-affirmation, creativity, and strength, while slave morality is characterized by resentment, conformity, and weakness. While master morality might seem inherently desirable, Nietzsche warned that an overemphasis on it can lead to arrogance and a lack of empathy for others. Consider Nazi Germany and its concept of the Übermensch, the superior man, which promoted the idea of a racially pure and dominant elite. This warped interpretation of Nietzschean philosophy resulted in the systematic persecution and extermination of millions, demonstrating the catastrophic consequences of a will to power devoid of compassion and ethical constraints. The lesson here is direct. Unbalanced strength arises from a will to power that is not guided by higher values, and true strength lies in self-mastery. What happens, though, when this drive towards power is actively suppressed, rather than misdirected? To answer that question, we must turn to the psychological insights of Carl Jung, who built upon Nietzsche's ideas by exploring the hidden depths of the human psyche. Jung introduced the concept of the shadow, representing the unconscious aspects of our personality that we repress or deny. It's not merely a repository of negative traits. It also contains positive qualities, untapped potential, and the very source of our creative energy. Integrating the shadow is essential for achieving psychological wholeness, Jung argued, as repressing it can lead to psychological problems and destructive behavior. Think of the seemingly nice person who consistently avoids conflict, always striving to please others. Beneath this agreeable facade may lie a repressed shadow containing violent fantasies or passive-aggressive tendencies that manifest in subtle, yet damaging ways. Even seemingly positive traits like strength have a shadow side. The highly disciplined person may struggle with spontaneity and joy, rigidly adhering to routines and schedules, and depriving themselves of life's simple pleasures. The generous individual might be secretly motivated by a deep-seated need for approval, constantly seeking validation from others, and feeling resentful when their efforts are not appreciated. These are all manifestations of the unacknowledged shadow aspects of strength. Furthermore, we often project our own shadow onto others, perceiving our own unacknowledged qualities in them. The individual who is secretly insecure may constantly criticize others for their perceived lack of confidence, using this external judgment to deflect from their own internal anxieties. This phenomenon is especially rampant in online environments, where anonymity emboldens individuals to project their shadow onto others through trolling, cyberbullying, and cancel culture attacks. Jung's assertions tie directly to our central theme. Unbalanced strength stems from a failure to acknowledge and integrate the shadow, and embracing one's imperfections is a cornerstone of true strength. But what happens when we fail to confront our shadow, allowing it to fester and grow unchecked? The inevitable consequence of repressing the shadow is the rise of hubris. Excessive pride or arrogance that leads to a downfall. This is the beginning of the arrogance cycle. Hubris is often associated with those in positions of power who become intoxicated by their own success and lose touch with reality. The arrogance cycle follows a predictable pattern. Strength leads to success, which breeds pride, culminating in arrogance, isolation, and ultimately downfall. History is replete with examples of this cycle in action. Julius Caesar, a brilliant military strategist and political leader, became increasingly arrogant and autocratic, disregarding the concerns of the Roman Senate and ultimately falling victim to assassination. Napoleon Bonaparte, whose military genius allowed him to conquer much of Europe, became consumed by his own ambition, leading him to overreach and suffer a crushing defeat. Even in the realm of business, the arrogance cycle can be observed. The dot-com bubble burst of the late 1990s was fueled, in part, by the overconfidence of tech entrepreneurs who believed their companies were immune to market forces. Arrogance often leads to a loss of empathy, creating a disconnect from the needs and feelings of others. Consider a wealthy CEO who becomes increasingly out of touch with the struggles of their employees. prioritizing profits over their well-being and failing to recognize the human cost of their decisions. Hubris can also blind us to our own flaws and weaknesses, rendering us vulnerable to mistakes and misjudgments. A brilliant scientist, convinced of their own intellectual superiority, may dismiss criticism from colleagues and make a fatal error in their research, jeopardizing the entire project. This is what makes the arrogance cycle so insidious. It is a recurring pattern throughout history, demonstrating the inherent dangers of unchecked strength and hubris. However, one might counter that strength can come in many forms, and that one key ingredient has yet to be considered: weakness. Let us challenge the conventional notion that vulnerability is a weakness. In a society that often equates strength with invulnerability and emotional stoicism, it requires a radical shift in perspective to recognize vulnerability as a source of power. True strength, it can be argued, lies in the ability to be open, honest, and authentic, even when it feels risky or uncomfortable. Brené Brown, a leading researcher on vulnerability, defines it as uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposure. It is the willingness to show up and be seen, even when we can't control the outcome. Embracing vulnerability requires us to shed the armor of self-protection and allow ourselves to be truly seen by others, flaws and all. Suppressing vulnerability can lead to a vicious cycle of fear, inauthenticity, and isolation. This is the essence of the vulnerability paradox. By trying to protect ourselves from pain and rejection, we ultimately cut ourselves off from genuine connection and personal growth. We become trapped in a performance, constantly striving to project an image of strength and competence, but never truly allowing ourselves to be seen for who we are. Vulnerability can be a source of strength in countless ways. Asking for help when we need it demonstrates humility and self-awareness, allowing us to tap into the support and expertise of others. Admitting mistakes shows integrity and a willingness to learn, fostering trust and respect in our relationships. Expressing emotions honestly, even when they are uncomfortable, allows us to process our experiences and connect with others on a deeper level. Sharing personal stories can create empathy and understanding, building bridges between people from different backgrounds. Consider a leader who admits their flaws and asks for feedback from their team. This act of vulnerability inspires trust and loyalty, creating a more collaborative and innovative work environment. Embracing imperfection is essential for self-compassion and building meaningful relationships. Trying to be perfect is a recipe for burnout and disappointment. It sets an impossible standard and prevents us from accepting ourselves and others for who we truly are: flawed, imperfect, and beautifully human. Balancing acceptance with strong ideals, while not for everyone, is the basis of the coming section. What are we to make of the figures and role models in our cultural memory? Various cultures glorify strength, but also associate it with negative traits. It is telling to examine, from this perspective, archetypes that are traditionally upheld as role models. Consider the strong man, often celebrated for his physical prowess and unwavering resolve. Figures such as Samson, Hercules, and Achilles, while undeniably powerful, also suffered from profound flaws that ultimately led to their downfall. These heroes showcase great strength with great negative repercussions. Hercules, despite his immense strength, was prone to fits of rage and madness. In one such episode, he murdered his own family, a horrific act for which he was forced to serve King Eurystheus and perform the 12 labors as penance. While these labors showcased his extraordinary strength and courage, they were also a constant reminder of his past transgression and the destructive potential of his unchecked emotions. Similarly, there are myriad examples in popular culture of the strong woman archetype, such as Lagertha, Wonder Woman, or Boudica, each showcasing inherent problems and limitations associated with their particular form of strength. Wonder Woman, for example, is often portrayed as being naive and overly trusting of others, which can put her at a disadvantage in complex situations. Her unwavering belief in the inherent goodness of humanity can blind her to the darker aspects of human nature, making her vulnerable to manipulation and betrayal. These archetypes underscore the necessity of balance. It is important to be strong, but it is equally important to be aware of one's weaknesses and limitations, and to strive for wholeness rather than simply celebrating one aspect of the self. Acknowledging the dangers and pitfalls that await those who overemphasize strength sets the stage for our investigation into actionable techniques that viewers can employ. Are there specific, concrete steps we can take to cultivate balanced strength? Returning to Nietzsche's Will to Power and Jung's Shadow, we can now see how these concepts illuminate the internal drives and unconscious forces that shape our relationship with strength. Strength is not inherently negative. The crux of the matter is that it can become destructive when wielded without self-awareness and conscious direction. The will to power, untethered from ethical considerations, morphs into ruthless ambition. The unacknowledged shadow festers, leading to arrogance and ultimately a fall from grace. The arrogance cycle and the vulnerability paradox are inextricably linked. Arrogance arises as a defense mechanism against vulnerability, while true strength flourishes when we embrace both aspects of our being. Arrogance, therefore, is not a sign of strength, but a mask for insecurity. Think of the insecure manager who berates their employees to appear competent, or the online troll who hides behind anonymity to lash out at others. In both cases, the outward display of strength is a fragile facade concealing deep-seated vulnerabilities. Revisiting the archetypes of the strong man and strong woman, we recognize that these figures often embody unbalanced strength, focusing on external achievements while neglecting their inner worlds. A more evolved archetype would integrate vulnerability, empathy, and self-awareness. Consider Mr. Rogers, a seemingly gentle figure who possessed immense strength in his unwavering commitment to kindness and compassion. Or Brené Brown, whose research on vulnerability has empowered countless individuals to embrace their imperfections and connect with others authentically. These individuals demonstrate that true strength lies not in physical prowess or dominance, but in emotional intelligence and genuine human connection. They are paradigms of balanced strength. Understanding the shadow side of strength carries profound personal implications. It fosters self-acceptance, improves relationships, and leads to a more fulfilling life. For example, practicing mindfulness can help us become aware of our own arrogance, allowing us to catch ourselves before we act impulsively or dismiss others' perspectives. Seeking feedback from trusted friends, family members, or colleagues can expose blind spots and provide valuable insights into our behavior. And perhaps most importantly, being willing to ask for help when we need it demonstrates humility and a recognition of our own limitations. On a broader societal scale, the dynamics of unbalanced strength have far-reaching ramifications, often leading to corruption, oppression, and conflict. We need only look at Russia's invasion of Ukraine to see the arrogance cycle playing out on a global stage. Vladimir Putin's unchecked ambition and disregard for international law have led to immense suffering and instability, demonstrating the devastating consequences of unchecked power. Cultivating a more balanced approach to strength is therefore not just a personal imperative, but essential for building a more just and equitable world. Ultimately, true strength lies not in dominating others, but in mastering oneself. This requires a fundamental shift in perspective, from viewing strength as a means of control to viewing it as a means of service and contribution. It is a transition from seeking power over others to empowering others. A leader embodies this shift by prioritizing the needs of their team, fostering a culture of collaboration and mutual respect, and using their influence to create positive change. Imagine this leader defers to their employees' expertise, actively solicits diverse perspectives, and shares credit for successes. As a result, the team feels valued and empowered, leading to greater innovation, productivity, and job satisfaction. This, in turn, benefits the entire organization and contributes to a more positive and sustainable future. So, is strength a curse in disguise? The answer is nuanced. Strength can be a curse if it is unbalanced, leading to arrogance, isolation, and destructive behavior. However, it can also be a great blessing if it is cultivated with self-awareness, compassion, and a commitment to serving others. By breaking the arrogance cycle and embracing the vulnerability paradox, we can unlock a more positive and sustainable form of strength, one that benefits not only ourselves, but also the world around us. What new questions arise from this exploration? How can we create a culture that values vulnerability and empathy? What specific practices can help us integrate our shadow? How can we use our strength to serve a higher purpose? These are questions that warrant further exploration. Delving deeper into Nietzsche's philosophy, exploring different methods of shadow work, and studying the lives of historical figures who embodied balanced strength can all provide valuable insights. Consider, for instance, reading Jung's Psychology and Alchemy, or delving into the biographies of figures like Nelson Mandela or Mahatma Gandhi, who demonstrated remarkable strength in the face of adversity, while also remaining deeply committed to compassion and nonviolence. I invite you to share your own experiences and insights in the comments section. What are the challenges you have faced in cultivating a more balanced approach to strength? What strategies have you found helpful? Remember, strength is not something you have, but something you do. It is a continuous process of self-reflection, growth, and action. Join a community or forum where you can continue the conversation and support each other on this journey. Together, we can unlock the transformative potential of balanced strength and create a more compassionate and just world.